Let's go live to Kerry Chikarovsky, Bruce Hawker. Kerry and Bruce, lovely to see you both. We're standing by to speak to Jim Chalmers. He's going to join me in the next minute or two after our chat. But Kerry, this is quite a rewrite, a wholesale rewrite of the superannuation tax plan. What do you make of it?
Well, I think the Treasurer has listened to common sense. I mean, every economist that I was reading and a lot of the commentators who are in the space, the superannuation space, were saying that this couldn't work. The original proposals were just going to be so difficult and so unfair. So I think, praise to the Treasurer. Congratulations, Mr Chalmers. You've listened to the experts, you've listened to the people who are most impacted by these decisions, and you've come up with a compromise which I think will be fairer, which is what he said he wanted to do. He always has said that he wanted to make sure that the superannuation system was fair and that it worked in the interests of everyone, those both at the top end and at the bottom end, and making it, as I said, fairer for everyone, particularly those at the bottom end. So, look, I think it was, it's what you'd call a pretty big back down, Kieran. I think there's no doubt about that. And I do take your point that he's announcing it on a day when the headlines are going to be dominated by what's happening in Israel and the Middle East. But, fair call. He's actually made the changes, and I think we need to acknowledge that they are in the better interests of the community.
Kerry says that the Treasurer has listened. Bruce Hawker, has he listened to the Prime Minister? Is that the key voice that he's listened to here? Has he been rolled by the PM?
No, I think he's a very sensible man, and this is a government which is governed really by a central principle, and that is take the centre line wherever you can and listen to what public opinion is on an issue. And if it's got substance to it, then act on it. And I think that's precisely what the Prime Minister and certainly the Treasurer have done in this case. So I think, as Kerry said, strength to their arm. And of course, doing away with the taxes on unrealised gains is a sensible move. Having, I think, a $10 million limit, it's going to start at $10 million, the extra taxation arrangements. I think that's a good idea too. So there aren't going to be too many people with $10 million in the superannuation accounts who are going to be unhappy about any of those sorts of things. So, all in all, I think it's a good move. And why create a problem if it's not really going to resolve any issues? Just listen to what people are saying, take their counsel when it's provided and move with it. Good move.
Interesting timing, Bruce, as Kerry alluded to, and I touched on this with Andrew Clennell earlier. At the very time we're expecting the hostages to be handed over, this is a back down that won't dominate the news tonight, but those that it affects will notice it.
Look, I think it's inevitable that there'll be that commentary about it, but I think it'll be subsumed by a much greater discussion around the issue in the longer term. And, that's the point here, I think, isn't it, really, that the issue has been sorted out and we're moving forward. And I don't think that I could add anything much more to that.
Do you think, Kerry, that's the outcome here, and that the pragmatism of the Prime Minister is going to be the key focus again? Because whether or not this was driven by the PM, he's on holidays this week. He's left Dr Chalmers to announce this today. But what this says to me is that this is a pragmatic Prime Minister once again, and sort of relentless when it comes to not giving up the middle ground of the political debate.
Well, and I think that's exactly right. I think the Prime Minister has a very clear agenda, and that is to try and keep as many people happy as possible. And if that means that he needs to be at odds with his Treasurer about what the Treasurer wants to do, then the Prime Minister will prevail. I mean, the reality is, as you and I and Bruce both know, when it comes to a vote in Cabinet, it can be 19-1, and if the one is the Prime Minister, he will win. I mean, that's just the way
Kerry,
it works. So if the Prime Minister wanted this to happen...
I've got to interrupt you, my friend.
Sorry.
I've got the Treasurer and he's going to join me live now. I'll talk to you, Kerry, and Bruce next week. Thank you. Jim Chalmers joins us. Now I have to get straight to him. It's a big deal, this. You've rewritten basically the tax plan on superannuation. Can I just get clarity? You've abandoned the taxing of unrealised gains. Why is that?
Well, we've made about half a dozen changes today, and these are practical, pragmatic changes which deliver on the same objectives, which is to make superannuation tax concessions fairer and to deliver more super for low-income earners. And the change in the calculation from unrealised to realised gains is just one of half a dozen changes that we are announcing today, still to satisfy the same objectives, but to do that in another way, taking into consideration all of the feedback that we've received over the course of the last 2+ years.
The idea of, and you know this has been one of the most controversial, but to clarify, the taxing of unrealised gains, is that now dead, buried and cremated?
We've changed that in the package that I've announced today. I recommended that to the Expenditure Review Committee on Friday afternoon and to the Cabinet this morning, and Cabinet agreed all of these changes that I announced today, including changing the calculation of the earnings for people with large balances. Again, one of 6 main changes that we are announcing today, having worked in our usual considered and methodical way through all of the issues.
You've been around this building for many, many years, and you know this is how it's going to be read. And I'll ask you flat out, did you get rolled by the Prime Minister?
No, of course not. And, you know, honestly, Kieran, it's not about me or it's not about him. It's about finding the best way we can to deliver on our objectives. And our objective is a superannuation system which is fairer from top to bottom, and that's what we are delivering. The Prime Minister and I agreed these changes. I recommended them to the colleagues. The colleagues agreed, and having agreed them earlier this morning, I went out and announced them as soon as I can after that.
You've obviously spoken to the Greens. Do you feel comfortable doing deals with the Greens on these matters? Can they be trusted partners in economic reform?
Well, they've been constructive in the way that they've engaged with us over a period of time now. I did have an initial conversation with Larissa Waters this morning about the package after Cabinet had agreed it. And she'll take it to her party room as is appropriate and understood from our point of view as well. We would like to see this package passed. We've got a little bit more work to do between now and the beginning of next year. We'd like to see it passed as soon as we can pass it in 2026, once that additional work has been done, but I don't want to preempt the decision that the Greens party room will take on the new package that I announced today.
It's not ideal being seen to be economic partners with the Greens, though, is it?
Well, I'm trying not to see it in political terms, Kieran. We're trying to get the best outcome that we can for the budget and for the economy, and particularly for low-income earners. You know, one of the things that is lost, I think, so far in the commentary about the practical and pragmatic changes I announced today is that 14 times more Australians will benefit from our changes to the low-income super tax offset than will be impacted by changes to tax concessions for very large balances. And so the biggest change announced today was actually that we will top up the superannuation of people on low incomes. That's a very substantial change, one that I'm very proud of, because it means in addition to this government ensuring people earn more and keep more of what they earn with our tax cuts, it also means more people will retire with more as well, and that's a really important objective.
The Listo is what you're referring to there, and you've upped the threshold, you've increased the contribution that's going to be made. What does that mean in dollar terms for people at the end of their working life?
Well, by one realistic assessment, the changes we're making to the Listo will mean $15,000 more in a superannuation account at retirement. And that's part of what this is all about today. You know, this is all about making the system fairer from top to bottom. That means maintaining concessionality at the top end, but making those concessions more sustainable, partly so that we can fund this really important change for people on low incomes. Our superannuation system's the envy of the world, but as a Labor Treasurer, I take my responsibilities to super very seriously, and that means dealing with some of the imperfections, including the sustainability of the tax concessions at the top end, including the issues around adequacy for people on low incomes and also for women. These are some of the imperfections in super, And the package that I announced today after getting it agreed by the Cabinet this morning are really about addressing those imperfections so that we can make superannuation stronger and fairer and more sustainable at the same time.
The $10 million threshold, how many people will be affected by that? How much will that raise in dollar terms?
Well, in 2026-27, we expect that that'll impact around 8,000 people. So overall, more than 3 million, we expect will still be less than 0.5% of people in super. The part of that with more than $10 million, we expect next year to be about 8,000 people. They'll still get concessional tax treatment in their large superannuation accounts, but it will be more sustainable, more targeted. And that's deliberate. And one of the reasons for that is because these changes will cost revenue compared to the original package. That new threshold is about helping to restore super to its original purpose, which is to provide for a decent retirement income. But it also helps us to fund these important changes we're making for low-income workers.
Was it also part of your deal to get the Greens over the line? Was that a bargaining chip to get? Did they demand that?
No. No, and I heard that, respectfully, I heard that speculated about a bit earlier. I think it was on your program, Kieran. That's not been the case. I informed Larissa Waters of that part of our policy earlier today after the Cabinet had agreed it.
The federal judges, what's going on there? Have they been let off the hook in this sense? What's your thinking on this? Why have they been given special treatment?
Well, one of the complexities in the original model was that because of some constitutional provisions, state judges would be treated very differently to federal judges in the pension scheme that judges are part of, the defined benefit scheme. And this is all about trying to align those two things. But I want to assure your viewers more broadly, Kieran, when it comes to defined benefit, whether it's politicians or others at the federal level, they will still be subject to the changes to better target these superannuation tax concessions. The judges' issue was a bit different. I think, to your credit, that's been reported on by yourself and Andrew over time as well. There was some complexity there, and the simplest way to address that was to align the defined benefit part of judges' super, state and federal together, and that's what we're proposing to do.
The recent history shows economic reform is not easy. Were you spooked in part by the campaign against franking credits against Bill Shorten? Have you bowed to pressure in delivering these changes today?
I don't think so, but this is a government that works through issues in a considered and a methodical way. And we take, when feedback is given to us in good faith, we take it seriously. That's been my approach throughout as Treasurer, and that's been our approach as a government. That's the example and the tone that the Prime Minister sets, really, from the Prime Minister down. We try and work through issues. We try and find a way forward to deliver on our objectives. In this case, the system more sustainable and a better outcome for low-income workers. And that's what's happened here. I try to take feedback seriously. Obviously, some of it is the usual kind of politically motivated stuff that's easy enough to ignore. But when there's genuine feedback, as there has been over the course of the last couple of years, I do try and take that into consideration. I do try and respect that. And that's what's happened here.
Only have got 50 seconds left of your time. I know I've got to let you go, but the timing of this, the day that the hostages are being released, I know I'm being a cynical journalist, but the timing does look a bit suspicious.
You are,
It's not
Kieran.
going to be the lead story tonight.
This is not like you, Kieran. This is not like you, Kieran.
Sorry.
This is not like you. No, the
It's the first thing
timing
I
was
thought
already
about, to be
determined.
honest.
As I said, I took it. Well, no, not been the case. And I suspect that it will still be covered extensively. I took it to the ERC on Friday afternoon. I took it to Cabinet this morning. I wanted to announce it as soon as the Cabinet had agreed. I thought that was the most appropriate way forward to front up and explain the changes. And that's what I've done earlier today, and that's what I'm doing on your show.
Well, you've timed it very much to the top of the hour, so we thank you for that, being a professional. We'll talk to you soon, Treasurer. Thanks.